My favorite Here We Go moment is Cristiano Ronaldo back to Man United.
The man, the myth, the legend. Fabrizio Romano. Every football fan in the world knows his name.
Social media really changed my life. You can really feel the excitement of people following you because you are bringing them the truth.
He is the godfather of football transfer news and truly revolutionized the industry. With over 50 million followers on social media, he is the most influential football journalist ever.
For example, I knew that was going to retire. I think I became so big on social media because of one crucial skill, that is...
Fabrizio joined us for a rare, exclusive interview to reveal exactly how he has managed to become one of the biggest names in football.
I don't remember my last day off, probably was when I was 16 or 15. I reported on many special transfers, but to me the most special remains.
He tells us all about what really happens behind the scenes in the transfer market, why Messi left Barcelona, and much more.
If you break the story too early, it could create a problem to the negotiation itself. The thing I would change in the football industry probably is...
Fabrizio Romano Perspectives. Here we go.
The most dramatic saga has been, for sure, Leo Messi leaving Barcelona. I am Fabrizio Romano, I'm a football journalist, and I'm here to do Perspectives with Rising Ballers. Here we go.
Can you tell us about your childhood and where you're from, and how did your passion for football begin?
My childhood started with football in everything. I'm from Napoli, in south of Italy, and Napoli is all about passion and it's all about football. It's all about Diego Maradona and the legend of Maradona, and of course the love for the sport, the love for football, the love from the city for football players is really insane. So passion is really everywhere, and that's how it started for me. I started playing football in the streets with my friends, and then in normal football pitches, of course, growing up. And then I had the opportunity to start following football every single day, also thanks to my father, who is a big football fan. So he introduced me into this world of professional football and not just on the streets. And so that's how it started. Passion was really everywhere, and I decided to follow the football way since day one. Since I remember something normal in my life, I was like 7, 8, and my obsession was already football. While I was with my friends, while I was with my family, my father, my brother, it was football, and so for me there was absolutely no other way.
Did you want to become a professional footballer?
It was my dream to become a professional footballer maybe one day, but I knew that it was almost impossible. I didn't have the skills and the qualities, so I was lucky enough to understand that probably my way was still into football, but with a different role, so not on the pitch, but off the pitch, and I had the opportunity to start really early, and that was crucial for me. But I was a quite good centre-back, Italian style, like Marco Materazzi, but not ready at all for top level.
How did you first get into football journalism?
My first experience as a football journalist was on a very small website, a really small one in Italy. I tried to send emails everywhere. Basically, when I was still studying, I was 14, 15, and I started sending emails to websites just to have an opportunity. Of course, there was no money, no salary involved, nothing, just trying to practice and understand if that was the right way for me. So I had the opportunity to start on this small website when I was 15, almost 16. I was going to the school in the morning and then going back home in the afternoon and start writing some small articles to understand things about football, and also if I really wanted to do that. And the answer was immediately yes, because it was my love, my obsession. So I started trying and practicing, and then still going from website to website till I was 18, and then I moved to Milano from Napoli, and my life completely changed.
I read online that your first career breakthrough came in about 2011 when you reported on Mauro Icardi leaving Barcelona. Can you tell us about that and how it kick-started your career?
The Mauro Icardi story was completely crazy because it was my first story and then my first scoop when Mauro left Sampdoria to join Inter. But it all started when he was at Barcelona, at Barça Academy, so La Masia, of course, the very famous La Masia, and I got a call from an agent who was not even an agent, was just an Italian guy who was working there close to La Masia, and he was trying to enter the industry with the agents of some players, so to enter into their agencies. As he started to call me, I still don't know how he got my number, to be honest, because I was just a 16, 17-year-old guy who was writing on small websites. But he asked me for some help, like, okay, if you can write some article on the skills of these boys we have here in La Masia. Imagine it was completely different football world. It was not like today where you can see players everywhere, but it was really, really different. And so I started writing articles about that on two players, Mauro Icardi and Gerard Deulofeu. So he was able, as kind of agent, to show the agent of the player that he was trying to have some contact in the football industry. And so after that, he started working with the agents of Mauro Icardi, and when Mauro left Barcelona, Pep Guardiola didn't want the traditional number 9, so he was never in Barca plans to join Italy side Sampdoria. I got my first news, Icardi from Barca to Sampdoria, but of course it was difficult also for me to cover the story because I didn't have any skills to understand the power of the story. But it was the first one, and then Icardi started to do fantastic for Sampdoria. He moves to Inter in the summer transfer window, but I got the scoop, it was in November, and this agent told me, I owe you something, it's my moment to give you something after what you did for me. And so my first scoop was Mauro Icardi from Sampdoria to Inter, and I still remember that as a dream for me.
And when that first scoop went live and everything exploded, talk to us about that journey of the moment you revealed that to the world. What was a reflection on yourself and your social media and just general people with you?
For me, that moment when I broke the story of Mauro Icardi was really important, not just for the reaction of the people in the social media world or traditional journalism, but also for myself. I really had the feeling like, okay, I want to be a football journalist and I want to work on the transfer market because you have many opportunities. Maybe you can be a traditional journalist on newspapers, or you can be a traditional journalist in TV. So there are many ways to be a football journalist. But I understood in that moment that I really wanted to cover transfer stories. The adrenaline, the feeling I had in that moment when I got the story was insane. Imagine that this guy called me in November to tell me the guy will move Icardi in the summer transfer window. So it was like 6-7 months before. And he told me like, you will see stories on Juventus, Roma, Napoli, many clubs interested. But remember, go on your way and always say Inter for Icardi. And so I had this feeling like, okay, if you have the right sources, you can really feel the excitement of people following you because you are bringing them the truth on the transfer story. So for me, that moment was really special for myself and also, of course, for how people had the possibility to see that I was trying to enter the industry. Of course, it took a lot of time because from that moment I started moving to Milan, and actually my first day at Sky was the first day of Mauro Icardi at Inter. So it was really strange and curious that they asked me like, the first thing you have to do for us, and I was really a kid, is to cover the arrival of Mauro Icardi as an Inter player. And for me, it was the easiest job in the world because, of course, I knew the player and the agent. But I really had the feeling that I wanted to do that. And so starting from that day, I started spending like 6-7 years around the streets in Milan, outside hotels, restaurants, or wherever, to get in touch with people, to get in touch with agents, presidents, players, or whoever was involved in the football industry, to create some contact, to build my network, and then that's how it started.
And you are now widely regarded as the most reliable transfer source in football. Can you take us through how you've done it and where you've got to now?
For me to arrive at that level, to be an important journalist, the most important part has been the street, 100%. I really spent a lot of time in the streets, but when I say a lot of time, it's not like a couple of hours. I was starting 1st of June till 1st of September, no days off, no holidays, no Formentera, Ibiza. My best friends were going on holiday. For me, it was not even the case. I was just dreaming. I was really, really dreaming of football industry. And so to be there in the street for me was the best place in the world. Again, just outside places, waiting for people to come out of a meeting, out of a dinner or lunch, and to have the possibility to interact with them. So to create network, to create a content. And so imagine that spending 6-7 years like this was long time, but also a big opportunity to create your own network. And then I think I had this feeling that while I was doing traditional journalism with Sky in Italy, reporting on Italian news, I was feeling like, okay, on the social media, we have the possibility to bring this model, this system, worldwide, because at the end people is really interested in transfer news. I remember when I started sharing something, for example, on Mario Balotelli moving to England, the excitement was really, really insane. And then we started with many other stories like Alisson to Liverpool from Roma, Mo Salah also doing the same. So all these kind of stories were bringing insane excitement. And so I said I want to focus also on international markets. I can use the social media, and so social media really changed my life, because at the end of the day I had the possibility to connect with many people and to make my network even bigger. And so started from the streets, moving to social media, and then that's where we are.
onto social media. You have nearly 30 million followers on Instagram alone. Why and how did you become so big on social media?
I think I became so big on social media because of one crucial skill, that is obsession. So I think you can be, obviously, in any job you do, talented. Of course, it's important, but at the same time, if you don't put a big effort in what you're doing, you're going nowhere. That's just my point of view. And for me, it was really crucial to put obsession into it, because I don't remember my last day off, probably was when I was 16 or 15. Then I really started always to be on my phone every day to try to improve my skills every single day, to improve my network. Because for me, football is a dream. Still today, when it's really busy and you are under pressure for big stories or whatever, you're still living the dream. You have to tell yourself, okay, it's football. You are people waiting for your news. So this kind of stuff for me is still a dream today, with a lot of people following me. And so I think the crucial part was the obsession. Every single day there, every single day not saying, okay, I will do that tomorrow. It's always today. Today you have the chance. Today you have to build your network. And today you have to be there in the crucial moments with the right people and to show people how important is respect. For me, this is the other crucial factor. One is obsession, and the other one is respect. Respect your sources, respect your friends, and remember that if you want to be in the industry long term, it's always crucial to be respectful with all the people involved in the stories. And trust me, the biggest stories I had in my life were not coming from big agents or big players or big presidents, but from small people in the industry telling me big things. So that's the lesson for me, respect and obsession.
Can you give us an example of one of the smallest people giving you a big transfer scoop that kind of changed something for you?
Yeah, for example, the biggest scoop I got from small people was probably about Thomas Tuchel becoming the new Bayern manager with Julian Nagelsmann leaving the club. In that moment, they didn't even know people close to Nagelsmann that he was going to be fired. Imagine that also Julian Nagelsmann in an interview said that he was just on a day off with his family, and then he showed the story on the social media. So it was a really complicated one for me to handle, but I was still respectful to all my sources, so I still feel very good because I sent messages before breaking the story. But that story really came from someone who is not big at all. So all people trying to understand in Germany how I got that story, they think that it's maybe a big agent or a big person into the club or someone really close to the managers or whatever. No, it's coming from someone they will never understand. And for me, it's the biggest source of pride, because it means that you can get stories from anyone. I still remember when I got a story from Fikayo Tomori leaving Chelsea to join AC Milan. I got a story from a friend I had from the university who told me something about where he was living and leaving his place to move to Milan. And so I said, it can't be Inter, they're not looking for a centre back, should be Milan. I called Milan and they say, how do you know this story? So they were completely shocked. So it depends, you can get stories from everywhere, but respect and obsession are always the crucial part.
In your opinion, what's been the most dramatic transfer saga you reported on, and why?
The most dramatic saga has been, for sure, Leo Messi leaving Barcelona. I still remember that story was insane because, trust me, it was really a done deal for Messi to extend his contract at Barcelona. The contract was there. Messi was in Barcelona in the morning to sign the contract, coming back from holidays after the Copa America, so all was set to sign the contracts, and even the official announcement was there, was scheduled at 8 p.m. by Barcelona, so I have all proof and all the stories behind this big story of Leo Messi extending his contract at Barcelona. And then I remember the feeling of what happened in the afternoon around 4 p.m. when Messi meets with the president Laporta and they tell him, we can't proceed because of financial fair play. So we don't have the green light from La Liga, we don't have the green light for financial fair play, and the only way is for you to leave the club. So imagine the shock in 4 or 5 hours at the Barcelona headquarters. Was a really crazy day, and I still remember the feeling. You go from Messi extending the contract, really expected news, to Messi leaving Barcelona. And Messi was Barcelona in that moment. I know that maybe now can feel different, but Messi was really Barcelona and will always be Barcelona. And so that moment was really, really insane. And also, I think when Cristiano Ronaldo joined Manchester United, returned to Manchester United, was incredible because he was actually really close to Manchester City. It was a concrete negotiation. And to see Cristiano in 24 hours rejoining United, the excitement was insane.
When you find out the story, and from you finding it out to you posting it, what happens and how quick is that process to you clicking post on your social media?
The process from the moment where I got the story to I post the story on my social media can be super fast in some moments because I can 100% trust my source. So there are sources I trust, like if they are my brothers, and so I know that they will never tell me anything that is not true. So I can 100% trust and publish straight away. Or there are some cases where you really need to check and to use your brain. It's always crucial to use your own brain to understand if something really makes sense, if you need one more check, even if the source is very good, because you want to understand what's really going on behind the scenes. In some cases you don't need. In some cases you really need to spend a long time to check the news. For example, as I was mentioning, the story between Tuchel and Nagelsmann, it's a really big story, but you have to be careful because there is people involved, so people at Bayern, people close to Tuchel, people close to Nagelsmann. You need to make sure that everyone is aware of what you are going to post in social media if you want to be long-term in the industry, and I always want to be respectful. So you need to spend a long time. I think it was like 2 hours trying to get in touch with people, send messages, and it's really tense. I can guarantee to you that it's really tense because you want to publish the story, but you have to be careful. And then in other cases, it's just about trusting your source, publish and be fast, because also being fast is really important.
And when you click post, what's that feeling for you? Is it relief? Is it nerves? Is it excitement?
When I click post, it's always about being quite tense, because in some moments you never know what's going to happen. For example, I still remember the Cucurella story was crazy to see the reaction from Brighton, the official statement from Brighton denying the Cucurella story with Chelsea. But then I had that feeling that Cucurella was going to Chelsea. I was sure of my source, 100% sure, and so I was quite tense when I saw all the negative comments. But then at the end of the day, I was 100% sure of my source. So you always feel that tension, but at the same time, you have to be sure of what you're doing.
Can you tell us about what happened with the Cucurella transfer, Brighton and Chelsea?
The Cucurella transfer was a really strange and crazy one. We have to mention it was one of the first transfers for the new Chelsea ownership, so they were also entering into the industry and was something new to them to negotiate for a player like him. And also for Brighton was a really important transfer to show all the people how strong they are on the transfer market, and I really think they are, because they were really strong on their position for Cucurella. Imagine that they turned down more than 40 millions from Manchester City in July. The player was kind of desperate. You have the possibility to go to Manchester City. With all respect to Brighton, was a big opportunity for Cucurella, so the player was like desperate about the situation. And then Chelsea enters the story in August, and in that moment, the verbal agreement between Chelsea and Brighton was done. So I was 100% sure of what I say, that Cucurella was actually going to join Chelsea. Then Brighton probably wanted to play a bit around the story, so to create some tension, also to test how much Chelsea were prepared to pay for Cucurella, maybe including also the loan deal of Levy Colwill in the deal was part of the discussion. Then it just took 24 hours, and I remember when I got the message of my source telling me that Cucurella was going to complete the medical test. It was a Thursday afternoon. I still remember the feeling I had was like, okay, we did it, and it was insane.
For me, every single minute of the day is about working. I think it's sometimes the timing can be probably not the best one, and so things can change. It happens. To me, the most special remains Bruno Fernandes. I still remember the feeling I had was like, okay, we did it, and it was insane.
Looking back, what's the most special transfer you reported on, and why?
I reported on many special transfers, but to me the most special remains Bruno Fernandes joining Manchester United, because I still remember I was still really new in the industry, international industry I would say, and so all people were still testing me, let's say like this. And then when I got the story of Bruno, it was January, but for the whole summer transfer window, we had many stories coming from Portugal saying Bruno to Man United is almost done, the deal is going to be completed soon, and so all this kind of stuff, and I was denying. I was like, no, Bruno is not going to Man United, at least now, in the summer transfer window, it's not happening. And you know, people prefer to have a beautiful fake news rather than having realistic real news. And so what basically happened is that I started denying the story in the summer. Man United fans were not happy with me because they wanted Bruno, of course, but then when it was January transfer window, I broke the story of Bruno rejoining, in that case, Manchester United, with the picture of Bruno on the private flight with his agent. So it was a really big message, like saying, okay, now is a here we go, now is a done deal, and the excitement there was really, really insane. So for me, that moment was like entering into the international market with a big story on Man United, big player like Bruno, was a really special one.
How are you always first to stories?
It's not easy to be first on the stories, and it's also not easy to keep relationship with people. The human side of the story is always really important to me. As I mentioned with Cucurella, but with many others, it's really crucial to me to have a human relationship with people involved in the story. Could be at clubs, could be player side, could be agents or whoever. But for me, the human side is crucial if you want to enjoy. And this is a crucial part. If you want to be in the football transfers industry for a long time, you need to enjoy. Otherwise, you're going to be super tired and it's going to be impossible to keep going with the pressure. So I always try to keep this human relationship with people. That's why I say that respect for me is really important. And I could give you an example, but for example, I knew that Toni Kroos was going to retire. The decision was to retire and leave Real Madrid and leave professional football. But respect also means that in some moments it's the player who wants to communicate, and you have to respect that always, because it's absolutely really important for me.
Due to your huge presence on social media, you've become a person of interest. How do you deal with fame, and what's your experience of dealing with online hate?
For me, dealing with fame is always a pleasure. I would never say no to a picture or to people asking me for something, because at the end of the day, I was on the other side till 10 years ago. So for me, it's really normal to see people excited about football in general. I was like that too, and I'm still really dreaming of the football world every single day. So I'm really living the dream. So I would never say no to anyone. For me, the passion from people is crucial. Otherwise, you can post all the transfer news you want, but at the end, if you don't feel the excitement from the other side, it's going to be boring. So we have to be thankful with football fans every single day. And even with the hate, I understand when people are not happy with some stories, are not happy with some reports. You can't be appreciated by all the people in the world. It's absolutely impossible. So I expect people not happy or criticizing. Is also part of the game. I just don't respect when someone pretends to know things about you, how you work, if you do wrong things or this kind of stuff, and they go on social media with no face, with no name, and they start attacking you based on things they don't even know. They don't know that you are working 20 hours per day. Again, I'm lucky because it's in the football industry, but it's still a hard work to do with a lot of pressure, and they have absolutely no idea about that. They just go there and put negative things about you. I really get angry about this kind of things, because it's about respecting who you are. If you're not happy with my news, I respect that. It's part of the game.
Are there any instances that you reported something incorrectly that you're happy to speak about?
I spoke many times, I reported many times incorrect things. It happens, absolutely. I don't think it's about being incorrect. I think it's sometimes the timing can be probably not the best one, and so things can change. It happens. Now, when you are powerful on social media, it can happen that if you break the story too early, it could create a problem to the negotiation itself. So it happened also recently to some negotiation that they might be affected by the timing of the posting. So in some moments, you want to be fast, because at the end of the day, you are a journalist and you really want to be first on the story, but at the same time, you have to be respectful with the timing, otherwise you can create a problem to people involved in the negotiation. So the timing is really, really important. I don't think it's about being incorrect, but sometimes things can change. I think who is accepting to read everyday transfer news has to accept that it can change. It's the beauty of the transfer window, the beauty of transfers. You have to understand that it's a jungle. It's not a shopping center. You go there and you are relaxed. In a jungle, things can always happen. So get ready, and I think it's the beauty of our world.
If you could change one thing about the football industry, what would it be and why?
The thing I would change in the football industry probably is the summer transfer window. Because I would do it shorter, way shorter. I think it's way too long, and it makes no sense, because at the end of the day, we really have some weeks where nothing is happening, all people involved, not just me or other journalists, but I mean also people who is directly into the story. I think about managers sometimes. You start the season, and then in August, a player who's playing for you is going to play against you in a couple of weeks. It makes absolutely no sense to me. I think it would be perfect to change the summer transfer window, to make it shorter, than to allow the managers to work with their real squad starting from the first game of the season, and then maybe you can do it longer, probably in the winter transfer window, maybe including December, to help clubs to fix what they did in the summer. But I think the summer transfer window is way too long, and I can't understand they keep doing like this. It's May, and we are already reporting on news, and then we will be all over it till September.
What advice do you have for young people looking to break into the football industry?
My advice to people who want to enter into the football industry is really to try to make it happen. Don't give up, because now there are many opportunities. When I started, it was more kind of traditional journalism. So you had opportunities on newspapers, on radio, on TV, okay, that's it. Now with social media, you really have many opportunities, many stages where you can show your talent. Of course, it's not easy. I'm not saying that it's going to be something easy, but you have opportunities. You have the chance to show your knowledge. So really focus into football. Remember that it's really important, as I said, to be obsessed, to respect people you are working with. Even if they are really small in the football industry, they are going to become really big in a couple of years, because it's the football industry world is like this. It can be really fast. And then it's also important, I think, to keep going with the football knowledge. It's really important to follow at the football games, never give up on that, because even me, you can say I can only focus on transfer, why you should care about football games. It's not like that. To follow football games, to know everything about football, it's absolutely important to get to the best level possible. So keep going and trust your skills, because now there is a real opportunity to make it into the industry, I think.
You have a reputation of working exceptionally long hours. Can you talk us through an average working day for Fabrizio Romano?
My average working day is basically every single minute of the day. You know, my work is my life, but I love it. I don't see it in a negative way. Probably it will change in the future, but as of now, I'm really enjoying it. I love football, so what I always say is that probably even if I was doing something else in my life, it would still be checking football stuff all the day, because it's my love. Football is my love. Transfers are my love. I still remember the excitement I had when I was like 8 or 9. I was going to buy a newspaper with my father and waiting to see who was the big name on the front page to dream about that, and now it's still the same on the other side. So for me, every single minute of the day is about working, but it's also that I'm never working, because I'm living the dream. So I still feel like that for me football is everything. I spend the entire day sending messages, calling people, sending emails, checking social media, posting on social media, because everything I post is by myself. So I also want to take care of every single post, because I think it's a matter of respect for people who are following me. They want the news from me, and even the wording of the news is really important. So they deserve to have every single word directly from myself and not from someone else, because in a news is not like content creator. In that case, you have to be a journalist, and the journalist has to report every single word in the correct way. So as long as I would be in the industry, it will always be posted by myself and everything under my control.
How many hours do you spend on your phone daily?
How many hours on my phone is a good question, because it really depends on the days, but sometimes even close to the end of the transfer window could be even 17, 18 hours. It was 19 actually, the last deadline day. You know, you need to be always on point. It's not always like this, otherwise it would be obviously toxic, but in some moments during the season you can relax, you can live a normal life, but during the transfer window you have to be always on point, because you never know what happens. It can really change in a minute. And so you can control the moment of the market, but at the same time, you have to be always on point.
This summer, is there any predictions you could give us for what to expect in the transfer market?
I think this summer the transfer market will be busy again, really busy, all around Europe, in England of course, but also in other countries. There are many changes with managers, probably one of the biggest managers domino ever, because we see many jobs changing, many managers changing, and this is a big also breath of fresh air into the clubs to bring in new people. So when you want a new manager, it means also you want new players probably, and so I expect many clubs to be really busy. I think it will be really busy with strikers in this case. There are many clubs looking for strikers, like Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal. Let's see what happens at the clubs too, but around Europe too is really busy with strikers, with Paris Saint-Germain, the Kylian Mbappé stuff for Real Madrid, and then we have to see what happens at Barcelona. In Italy they will be really busy with strikers too. So I think the domino around Europe will be very big for strikers, and I'm really curious to see what happens with talents also, because there are many talents who will be on the market. Players like Šeško, for example, and many others. I think is going to be busy.
It's important people see the reality of the game too. Without naming any names, can you tell us a story that reflects the darker side of football?
Dark side of football is really everywhere. Sometimes you can see clubs really trying to control the players till the point where they can't decide on their next move. Even if they dream of a big club, sometimes you can see clubs who want to wait and just get their money, and sometimes it's creating an issue to the player side. But at the end of the day, you also have to respect the contract you have. And so that's the other point. You know, it's always a balance between what the clubs want, what the agents want, and what the player wants at the end. So there are many dark things into football, but I can also guarantee that it's an industry where people sometimes is way more respectful than people expect. You know, I had always positive experiences, so there are dark sides, but it's not all bad as people can think of the football industry. It's a really positive industry, I think, and I would never blame it, because at the end of the day, it's my life.
Looking back on your career, what's the biggest mistake you've made and why?
Probably the biggest mistake I made was with some free agent player. You know, with free agent players, sometimes you can say that the deal is almost done, but probably you have to wait a bit more, because really with free agents everything can change in 5 seconds. For example, I remember Adrien Rabiot, just to give you context, Adrien Rabiot was a free agent from Paris Saint-Germain. He signed a pre-contract with Barcelona. You can do that when you are a free agent, but then the deal was not completed because of different reasons, and at the end of the day, Rabiot decided to go to Juventus. Gini Wijnaldum was also next, one step away from joining Barcelona. The deal was almost done, a 3-year contract, everything was set, even the medical tests were booked, and then Paris Saint-Germain, night time, they offer a crazy salary, and the player decides to go to PSG in 24 hours. So with free agents, I changed my approach in the recent years. At the beginning of my career, I was always reporting like it was really close to being done when they had all the contracts ready, but now the lesson is with free agents, be careful till it's officially signed, because really anything can happen.
You're known for when a transfer is about to go live for you to say, "Here we go." Where did "Here we go" come from?
Here We Go came from the conversation with people on social media. So what I love about Here We Go is that was not planned with a marketing strategy or any agency or anything like that, not at all. It was just me reporting on a Man United transfer, but again, I don't really remember which one. So I can't remember. It was just tweeting all days about that transfer, and then one day I said like, "Here we go," like, okay, it's finally over, this big saga, this big story. And all the fans were quite excited. Then I saw that the next tweets I was posting, all the people were saying like, okay, give us a "Here we go" also for Arsenal, Liverpool, Real Madrid, or whatever. So they wanted that kind of confirmation of the story. And I said, okay, why not? At the end of the day, something nice. It can be also a nice way to communicate to people that now I believe that the story is over, the deal is done. And so I started posting "Here we go" like this, but it was really natural, genuine, was not planned with anyone, and that's why I love it. It really started with the people following me, and that's why I love it.
What's your favorite "Here we go" moment?
My favorite "Here we go" moment is Cristiano Ronaldo back to Man United, because I remember I was live in that moment, breaking the story live, and there were like 98,000 people following the live stream, and I was like, okay, it's more than Camp Nou. This is insane. There is more people watching me from my home reporting on a story than people at Camp Nou for a Barcelona game. This is not possible. So I was like, okay, I'm dreaming, but it was fantastic to see the excitement, the reaction, then the big name, the big club. It was incredible.
What does the future hold for Fabrizio Romano?
The future for me is really open, because I never wanted to plan about my next steps. Even when I was young, I was never going to imagine something like that on social media. It really changes. The football industry and the social media industry really changes really fast. So I don't want to plan for it. I only know that my plan as of today is absolutely not to enter into the football world. Many times people ask me like, you want to be an agent, you want to be a director of football, you want to be this, that. No, I don't want to enter into the football industry, so to go on the other side, because I love to be a journalist, and my passion is for journalism, not for football. I mean, into specific roles into a club or as an agent. I don't want to do that. My passion is for pure journalism, and so my idea at the moment is to continue. Then for sure one day I will say, okay, I'm done. I can't continue with transfers because the pressure is there. You get tired. You want a normal life too. So in some moments it will happen, but not yet. At the moment I'm still here to fight.
How much has your life changed in the past 10 years?
My life has completely changed on many aspects, of course, all in positive. You can still complain about, okay, you don't have a proper life because you're always on your phone and all this stuff. Yes, but you have to say thanks, because at the end of the day, I'm living a dream. I'm into the football industry. I'm traveling a lot to follow football games, and for me it was a dream when I was a kid. So I can only speak in positive about the change, and the change has been massive, because at the end of the day I'm always focusing on football, on the next game, on contact with players, on contact with people, important people into the industry, legends. I had some crazy experiences with legends that sometimes I say this guy was in a poster in my room, and now they are next to me. So it's really incredible. But for me, it's a big change also in the relationship with people. To see people recognizing me feels still strange, because I still feel like, okay, I'm a journalist. I'm not active in the football industry in that sense. I'm not a player. I'm not someone who is really making history, but I love the appreciation I receive from people, because I think they understand that I am really enjoying that as a football fan, even before than being a journalist. And for me, that's a special moment.
Away from a transfer, what has been your favourite moment in your career with maybe a player, an ex-pro like you spoke about? You were recently with Mbappe at PSG. Have you got a standout moment in your career?
Yeah, probably the stand-up moment for me was when Erling Haaland commented my post on Instagram when I got the award for Globe Soccer as the best journalist, and to see Erling Haaland commenting, you know, was like, wow, you really can feel how big players, legendary players like him, can really respect you. And for me, it's super special when I see the appreciation directly for people into the industry. And then I can't mention names, but really, when I receive private messages from people that say me, thanks because you didn't break the story at that moment, you respect us because we didn't want to inform you or to publish anything before the player or before the club. You know, for me the feeling is even better than when I break a story, because when you have respect from people who want to bring the story to the public in their moment, I think this is really special, when you have a relationship and when you can respect that. You don't have to be a shark. I want to be a journalist, but I don't want to be a shark. So when it's positive, I'm more than happy to do the communication. When it's something that they want to handle by themselves, I know the story, but I prefer to stay silent and to respect them. And for me, that moment is really, really important.
What do your family think of everything you do?
My family can't really understand very well what I'm doing because they are not so young. So my mom is 67, my father is 82, so you know, they are kind of old, but at the same time they are very happy with my career in general. They can't understand really on social media what's going on because they are not on social media, so it's not the same feeling that normal people can have about numbers, followers and all this stuff. But they see that the progress has been very good in my journalistic career, and for me the most important part is they knew that when I was 18 at the end, I left my place, I left Napoli as a kid going to Milano just to study and see what happens, and now they can feel that people are really happy with my job around. So, you know, when I do traditional interviews maybe to newspapers or this kind of stuff, they're super excited, and so sometimes I can see in their eyes that they're really proud, and for me it's special. My question to the Rising Ballers audience is about the next big center striker in the world. I'm really curious to know your opinion because I have mixed opinion on that. So like Benjamin Sesko is one of my favorites, but there are many I appreciate. Also Joshua Zirkzee is doing fantastic at Bologna. There are many. I'm curious to see with your knowledge, and I know you have a very big knowledge, who is going to be the next big thing in terms of number 9.
Yeah, all good.
Good, thank you guys.